Our next speaker, our final speaker, is Martin Hallberg, who is sound designer and creative director at Efterklang. Efterklang is one of the world's biggest agencies for sound design. And Martin has worked with many, many interesting projects over the past 2 decades, working with city sound environments, something that he'll be talking about today, but also in product development, helping developers develop products that don't need to beep. Exciting. And audio branding, for instance. So you're going to talk about the sounds of our cities, the soundscapes of our cities. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you. Super. Yes, I will take the subject of sound and a little bit of music as well out in the city environment. And I will actually start this off by showing you a short little movie about what sound really is. So we start with it.
Sound. I am sound. I have been here since the beginning of time, and I will be here until the end. You have all heard me. Sometimes I am loud, and sometimes I am quiet. I target your ears, and I find ways to get to you. I am often stopped by walls and barriers, but I can still sneak out and annoy your neighbors. I pollute cities. I bounce around in rooms. I amplify your favorite artist, and I make your engines roar. I notify you when your food is ready. I make you dance, sweat, bang your head, lose it, fall asleep, and wake up. I can cheer you up, and I can make you cry. I like that. I like that I affect you. Yeah, I will always be wild and free, but sometimes I need to be reined in, controlled, and handled with care. Then you have to support me. Because there is only one agency that fully understands my potential. And don't forget, I am your closest friend. Sincerely yours, Sound.
Okay, so that was a short little, or pretty long little intro, and I apologize for the commercial aspect of this. I don't think it's an objective truth that we are at Efterklang are the only ones that can handle sound, but in some ways we actually are, because we are a large sound agency, and we have all the abilities to actually work with all aspects of sound in the city. We are around 150 colleagues, and we are doing over 4,000 projects per year when it comes to different kind of sound issues. And a lot of these sound issues are actually city related, the city soundscape. And when we are working with that, it's actually a social responsibility to showcase the result of what we are doing to the decisions makers around sound in the city. Because it's also a democratic thing. I mean, there's a lot of debate going on different venues, for example, shutting down because of neighbors thinking that they are too loud in the city. So, and that is, I mean, that's really, really dramatic for a city, dramatic for Malmö, for example, to close down different venues that attract all the creative people, for example, all the students to a city. So we need to really find methods of describing the consequences of sound issues to the stakeholders and to the people that is deciding all these things. So I would like to show you some methods that we are working with when it comes to this, and it actually is it's pretty much how you work with sound and music when you produce music. So I will show that later. We have a lot of different projects that we are working with. It could look like this. I mean, it can be noise mitigation projects. It can be doing different kind of soundscapes for environments. Can be squares. Can be playgrounds and other type of inventive sound barriers in different places to find new type of sound barriers in the city that have multiple functions, for example. And one of the part of the values for Efterklang is actually based on this guy, Raymond Murray Schafer. He is an composer and a Canadian composer that actually coined the word soundscape. And I don't know if you are familiar with the word soundscape, but it's all about how the environment around us actually is sounding. And he defines the soundscapes like this. The soundscape is a huge musical composition in which some sounds need to be suppressed while others are preserved, but most importantly, the effects of sounds must be understood before they are foisted on our ears. And this is really, really interesting to think about, because often sound issues in the city, then the usual way of working with sound is only about decibels. We should make the sound as little as possible. Sound is something that is a problem, and we don't see sound as a quality aspect to the city. But when talking like this, and also the book that he wrote, Our Sonic Environment and the Soundscape, the Tuning of the World, we can start to think about sound as a quality to the city instead. So this is something that is a part of our pillars in Efterklang and a value that we are working with. We are talking about that we actually are tuning the world, and that sounds megalomatic, but it's also an idea of have that responsibility to be able to tweak all the different aspects of the sound environment in the city to be able to find a new mix. A remix of the city, so to speak. I mean, it's often common to remix music, but you can also actually remix the city soundscape. And it's all about city planning for the ears. Because this environment is the environment that our ears actually are developed for. I mean, the levels of sound and the modern sound environment that we have today is very young. I mean, it's only around 100 years old. 100 years ago, it was only two sounds that could actually be louder than the human voice, and it was the thunder and it was the church bell, and some weapons maybe as well. But otherwise, it wasn't any type of sound sources that can actually outreach the human voice. Nowadays, when we are in the city, there's a lot of different sound sources that easily can take out your hearing. So when you compare this sound environment to this, it's quite obvious that it's a totally different type of soundscape. And also an interesting thing about this is that there's very few of these sounds in this soundscape that actually are designed for human ears. It's just consequences of other types of decisions. It's just energy leaking out from these engines, and we as humans need to go around and listen to this type of environment. And this has a lot of different effects. I won't go into on them today, but it's health issues, but it's also so to speak, like an attention issue. We are thinking about sound, that's something that isn't of quality. It's something that we maybe need to shield us from. We put our headphones on when we are at home, and then we travel to work in our headphones. It's almost like an own vessel. And then we come to work and then we take these off. So we haven't been a part of the soundscape because we think that the sounds that we hear in the soundscape aren't of any quality and aren't of any interest for us. So city planners are almost afraid of sound. They wanted to get rid of all the types of sound. And that is also a problem in itself, because the zero vision of a city is not a good goal. No city will ever be quiet. You would never talk about like the Malmö as the most quietest city in Europe. That would not be a good thing. It means sound is life and sound is friction, and we need to have life and friction in the city to make a city vibrant. So, how can we go about to look at sound in other ways? If we start to think about the sound in the city as an orchestra, and start to divide the different sound sources that we have in the city. There's a lot of different sound sources, so it's pretty hard to work with in this way. But like an agency like Efterklang can actually do it because we have engineers in all these different kind of aspects of the sound field. And we can divide these sources into categories. We have nature, we have people, we have traffic and industry. So sounds from birds and sound from different type of trees and plants. We have sound from people. It can be music, it can be venues, it can be children playing on the playground. And we have traffic sounds. I mean, the sounds that isn't designed for human ears. I mean, the sounds coming from motors and other type of traffic and industry. And then we start to think about all these sounds as a part of a mixer. So let's pretend that we have the traffic on one part here, and of course we want to take down the traffic. That is we have the target, the situation, the custom situation that we have today, and then we have the goal situation. And then we have people, and that is something that we want to have more of, maybe sounds from people, sounds from music, sounds from activity in the city. And then we have nature sounds, of course. That is something also that we need more of. There's a lot of studies that we like to listen to the sounds of nature. And then maybe we can add some other types of sound to it as well. I mean, some environments can really be enhanced with right type of soundscaping, for example. And then maybe we can add a fountain as well. I mean, fountains are something that actually spreads good type of sound. But that needs also to be tweaked in the right way, so we have the right nostrils on that fountain to make the sound match in a perfect mix of these type of frequencies. And then we press the action buttons, and then we get different kind of actions. We need to put up noise barriers, we need to allow outdoor seating for this environment to get more people to be heard. We maybe need to sound isolate windows, because we maybe need to have a more open area for music, for example. Then we need to take care of the people living next by to this area. And we can add a soundscape to different parts of the soundscape as well. We can tweak the fountain, and we can do a final master of this. So this is things that all can be done. I mean, it's almost like we can have all these things on this little mixer and then get different kind of measures from the things that we are doing on the mixer and actually create these type of soundscapes. We can have another example. If we go out from this house today, for example, and bring our little mixer outside as well. We maybe want to do a remix of this environment, and we start to, there's some friends coming as well. We start to lower the traffic. And then we maybe add some people to this environment as well. And maybe we need some more nature in this environment. And maybe a good soundscape would be nice outside of this building as well. And then we press the buttons, and then we get the actions to be done here. More noise barriers around this street, allow outdoor seating maybe for the restaurants around here. Maybe plan a playground nearby here so you have more sounds of children, add greenery, add music to the street, and do a final master of this as well. So, I mean, maybe this type of environment isn't workable for exactly the environment outside of this, of here. But to start to think about sounds as sounds that are on a mixer table and not sounds that are just decibels or sounds that is too complicated to work with, so we cannot just think about it, so we need to put headphones on instead, is a workable way of getting a bit better sounding city, and also taking our social responsibility, because, I mean, we have the ability to actually change the soundscape of the future in the city. I will end with this man again. I think he puts it very well.
In a way, the world is a huge composition, a huge musical composition that's going on all the time without a beginning and presumably without an ending. We are the composers of this huge, miraculous composition that's going on around us, and we can improve it or we can destroy it. We can add more noises or we can add more beautiful sounds. It's all up to us.
So, thank you.